Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to discuss about Visit to the Unknown from Tensei Shitara Slime Talk, and so without any ado let's begin. Visit to the Unknown, 15 Dragon Armor Part 2. She asked as she prepared yet another attack. It was really just her way of toying with Carmen. She was not actually interested in a reply. All it did was buy her some time. However, Carmen answered politely. Yes, maybe I am an idiot. But it's possible that someone from my old home exists within that super beast. You called them purification devices? So you know the secret of the super beasts? Carmen asked. Ah, yes, Jejil said knowingly. Now that I think of it, the use of 6 was top secret. It's true. I didn't know about it either. And I was the captain of a special task force team. So, now I am curious as to why someone like Carmen would now. Well, it doesn't matter. We're going to kill you right here, so the city residents won't hear anything of it. There were still questions left unanswered, but it didn't matter to Jejil. And so she moved to attack. She was ready. Her body had been remade and now specialized in combat. Carmen also didn't let his guard down. His eyes were locked onto Jejil and Riai's. Riai's men were still fighting the super beasts, but he also kept his attention on them. Carmen didn't have much chance of winning, but he intended on buying his men as much time as possible, so they could find the powered suits. Still, there was some hope for him. Feldera's own words. Oh, Carmen. The battle bodies you and Zaza were given were based on our analysis of Michelle. If you can handle it, you will have the strength of a demon lord. If he was to believe those words, he should be able to take on the machinery 4. He didn't know what Feldera meant by demon lord, but Carmen didn't worry about such details. And so he decided to fight without giving up. Riai's. I will handle Carmen. You hurry up and get rid of these pesky super beasts. Yes, yes. Understood. Jejil ordered him as his superior. And so Riai's obeyed her and moved towards the super beasts with his men. I won't let you. Carmen said as he tried to attack them as a diversion. However, Jejil stopped him. And so he was forced to face her. And the fight began. As vicious as the fight was, it was mostly Jejil attacking. While Carmen followed the warning signs that appeared in his brain, it was all rather superficial. He was good at handling heavy weapons, but not at close quarters combat. And so he tried to establish the tide of the battle as quickly as possible. Hee. You're better than I thought. I was confused as to why you didn't die from my kick. But now I see it. You've undergone some modifications. Yes. And so I'm starting to get used to your movements. It was a bluff. Indeed, Carmen was able to react to a certain degree. However, it was very difficult, even as he relied on his body's features. It wasn't real machinery arts. He was just using the official military combat skills he had gained previously. And that wasn't so useful against a cyborg. Even now. Carmen aimed his high-power blaster at Jejil and fired. But she dodged it every time. Carmen clicked his tongue. Jejil laughed. It's no use. You are like a child compared to me. I was humoring you just long enough to take stock of your abilities, but I have sufficient data now. As you were able to face me with such weak combat skills, the features of your body must be at least as good as the machinery 4. But that's all it is. It's still surprising, but you yourself are no threat to me. After all. And with those words, Jejil vanished. Then she seemed to materialize behind Carmen. And she kicked him in the back. Gueye! Carmen slammed to the ground. His brain allowed him to trace Jejil's movements. And so he understood what had happened. It was a simple thing. Ultra-high-speed movement. Carmen was able to see it all displayed in his brain as if he had a bird's-eye view. He saw Jejil appear behind him. It was twice the speed of sound. It was an incredible speed, considering that she still hadn't gone all out. That was when Carmen fully realized that this battle exceeded anything he had ever experienced before. The speed of his heavy weapons were the same as the speed of sound. Carmen could fight while flying, and hitting his targets determined on his ability to predict where they would go. Dodging optical weapons was not possible, so he managed by predicting the trajectory and firing time by reading his opponent's movements. But now, with an enemy moving around at a speed that was clearly faster than him, it was clear that such strategies would no longer be effective. Bullet-firing weapons are pointless against cyborg soldiers. You do understand what this means, don't you? Carmen didn't need Jejil to remind him. It was obvious. You had to use optical weapons to defeat cyborg soldiers. Because cyborg soldiers could move faster than bullets. Especially seasoned fighters could even deal with beam weapons if they moved before firing. This was what Jejil was talking about. And blaster weapons were slower than beam weapons. Slow enough for cyborg soldiers to dodge them. Even an ultra-high temperature plasma took time for the energy to be gathered. And as it was a short-range weapon, it was necessary to get close to your target. The finished plasma sphere had enough power to burn anything it touched. However, it was practically useless in combat when you are moving at a high speed. And that was why machinery arts had been invented. It was the crowning achievement of high-speed combat. Even if both people otherwise had the same abilities, the difference between knowing and not knowing it was great. Carmen's team was able to use optical weapons for wide-range annihilation. However, once they were close enough to cyborg soldiers that they became visible to the eye, then there was nothing they could do but be trampled. Just as Carmen currently had no way to defeat Jejil. However, Carmen did not give up. He frantically looked through his weapons and searched for something that would be effective on Jejil. Damn it all. But, what about this? Carmen shouted as he unleashed a card he had up his sleeve. Both of his arms were crossed and thrust forward as it fired. It was a neutral particle cannon. It was usually a weapon used while wearing powered armor, but Carmen was still able to use it in his current state. As there was not enough power, it would not pack as large a punch as normal, but its speed was still 80% of the speed of light. That was better than the blaster, which wasn't even double the speed of sound. And it was more than enough to be effective on cyborg soldiers. The speed was accelerated through both arms, the different particles mixed and transformed into an attack that was not deadly. Too slow. There was a roar, and then Carmen was blown away as something slammed into him. The particles dispersed and Carmen's special attack was no more. Jejil glared at the fallen man. Let me give you a little lecture before I kill you. Whether it is a beam weapon or something else, these deadly blows should be dealt once you are sure that your opponent can no longer move. For instance, after they have just used a special attack. I mean, do you even have enough energy left to raise a barrier? Jejil lifted her hand towards Carmen and laughed. It was over. Carmen knew that he was about to die. He realized it after she said it, but Jejil really hadn't used plasma during the fight. As always, Carmen had used it to distract her. I see. When fighting on this level, wasting bullets is a bad idea. It was too late now. Carmen would not be able to move for the next 2 seconds. And that was more than enough time for Jejil to finish him off. Damn you. Goodbye, Carmen. There was a flash. Carmen was enveloped in light. What? Jejil jumped away frantically. The ground was burning. Powerful acid was raining down. No, it wasn't acid. It was the super beast's blood, which contained powerful toxins. Why you? The monster that Carmen had saved was now protecting him. And the serpent's eyes lit up with the will of a noble human, and then its mouth opened in order to say something to Carmen. Garmon. Carmen heard his name come from the mouth of the girl who was now a monster. It had such a nostalgic ring to it. Is it you, Charlotte? Is it you? Are you really? It was a miracle. After 100 years, Carmen had reunited with his lover. However, Garmon, I. Everything below the torso was torn, and purple blood dripped to the ground. The rest of the body had exploded and flew everywhere. The poison blood had been sprayed towards Jejil, as if the monster was fulfilling its final role. This blood had the ability to melt anything. And so Jejil could not approach them. However, none of that mattered to Carmen. He had forgotten about Jejil. No, he had forgotten about the battlefield. All he did now was embrace the twisted and transformed being in front of him. The poison burned his arms, but he didn't mind. So, you kept your promise. I'm so glad. Love you. And so, live, Carmen. In the end, the great serpent forced its mouth to move and the girl who was now a super beast called Carmen's name. Hey, Charlotte. We finally met. Don't give up. Yes, we did. I'm glad I didn't give up. Their reunion was short-lived. My wish came true, she muttered, and then her hand went limp and fell. Her eyes closed silently, covering the snake-like pupils. Then the long red hair fell over her forehead like blood. Carmen's wail echoed. And the machine in Carmen's brain said, It sounded very cold. Carmen was immediately brought back to his senses. At the same time, the earth split, and the powered armor that should have been broken now appeared. Material it was talking about the person Carmen was holding. Carmen closed his eyes and hesitated for a second. And then he bit his lip and decided. Yes. We'll always be together, Charlotte. Let's get revenge together. He muttered in a voice too quiet for anyone else to hear. However, Carmen's will resulted in the birth of a super weapon that exceeded all the laws of physics in this world. Carmen's eyes widened. But it was only for a moment. He quickly returned to his old self and smiled mischievously. It wasn't like him to cry. And more importantly, Charlotte. We'll always be together now. The modification restoration was complete. The two were now united. The cloud of blood in the air had now disappeared. What was there now was not a military machine, but a purple machine in the shape of a dragon. Jejil took one look at it and stopped. What? What does this? There were wings on its back and a tail grew from its flanks. Dragonic armor, it was a destroyer that took features from the super beast serpent. As for its abilities. Let's do this, Jejil. I'll kill you. And then I'll crush the whole empire. And then, we shall build a new country. You make me laugh. You can dream all you want once you are dead. And then, the two clashed once again. Thank you for watching. Like, share and subscribe for more content.